Thanks for joining us. Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order at 12:32. It is the Wednesday, May 15th, 2024 at 12, like I said, 12:32. This is the OPA SV Honor Society meeting and elections. So super excited about that. But before we can do that, we need an approval of the agenda as published. So I need a motion.
Okay. I will approve the agenda as published. I have a motion
Need
to
a second.
publish.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye or visual voting.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I also need an approval of the minutes from the general meeting held on April 17th.
I will motion to approve the general meeting minutes from April 17th.
And need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Erin. Second. Everybody that's in favor of approving the minutes from the April 17th general meeting, say aye or visual voting.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries. The minutes are approved. And then I need a motion to amend the agenda as published to add in finance and communications reports.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda as published to add in communication and finance reports.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second.
All those approve the motion to amend the agenda as published to include the finance and communications report. Visual voting or say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. All those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for raising your hand there, Erin. That was fun. Thank you for that. I know we have been busy and trying to add in all the information, and I tried to add in the finance last night and the agenda was locked. So that was my bad because I'm the one doing the meeting today because Mandy is not here. So I'll just be able to access the finance reports for Jen when we get to that. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Michelle. I see you got on. I think we're just missing Jill, but I'll continue on with the agenda. I'm going to go ahead and get that up for us and share our screen. I hope you guys are all doing well. I know it's a busy time of year, so appreciate you guys hopping on during your lunch hour. Hang on real quick. I have so many windows open. Okay. Okay, so here's the agenda. Everybody see it okay?
Yep.
All right, excellent. Whoops. I don't think I can see it. Okay, so as always, as I've done this year, I always add the calendar, our current calendar, an informational slide, a link to the website, and update on our support goals, just so we can see what we're dealing with, have easy access. Anytime you need to go into the shared drive or need to access it for somebody else, it's always on our last agenda. And then I also wanted to just discuss the remaining funds for this year. So first of all, thank you everyone for such an amazing year. It seems like it's gone by so fast, but yet we had so much to do. So it's bittersweet to think about us ending another school year and just to kind of wrap up things. But we don't slow down here at the Honor Society. So a couple of things that we needed to wrap up are the support goals. And so our last discussion about the support goals, we had moved to put the money for the readathon towards the music equipment. And we did that during the readathon. We were able to provide some instruments right during that week, which was great. I think it got everybody really motivated. But we're looking to actually add to that with the remaining funds. And I know Jen will speak to it when she gets to her report. But to earmark those funds, the remaining funds from the readathon to purchase additional music equipment. And so I have sent an email over to Eric, Mr. Hartwell, the music teacher, to ask him to prioritize his list. And you guys, if you want to click on that later to look at the list, you're more than welcome to. But he has some more things that he would like to buy in addition to what he's already got with the grant as well from the school. So that is happening, and we will have that done by the end of this year. With that said, we will still have remaining funds, and we don't know the exact number until everything's paid out. And as you know, at the end of the year, people are putting in their reimbursements. They're still spending their teacher grants. We've got lots of events that are going on right now where the grade levels have access to their funds that we set aside for them. The bowling events coming, which Tammy's going to talk about, field days coming. So all that's going to shake out towards right at the end of school, really. So mid-June, we'll have a good idea of what those funds are. And in June, we'll talk about how to earmark those funds. But just to let you know, the school has approached us for next year with the Meet the Masters program to continue the next 7 artists. So it's a 2-year program. I mean, I guess you could do all of the artists in 1 year, but that would be too much. So there's a second track, and there'll be 7 artists, which is 2 more than what they did this year. They have purchased the curriculum, but they need the instruction because the teachers can't do it. They tried that 1 year and it was horrible. That's why we approved that as a support goal this year. So my recommendation will be in June, and you guys just think about it and come back with your questions, is to earmark those funds for next year so it can just close out that both tracks for Meet the Masters. And then the following year, as you guys vote in another board, you guys can discuss if you want to continue paying for Meet the Masters. So that's really the status at this point. Like I said, we'll have more information as we get things paid out, and Jen can, tighten up that budget from this year and what the actuals are, and then moving into next year, what that's going to look like. And for now, that's all I have. Are there any questions for me at this point? You guys are too kind. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy, our incoming president and president-elect right now. So go for it.
Okay, I'm just gonna, I know Susan has to leave at 1. Do you want to see if she wants to go before me? In case she has to pop
Oh,
off?
sure.
Susan, you want to go?
Sure. And what do you need me to add in here if that's the case?
I
Susan.
had a window open. Sorry, I had the wrong window open. So I was like hitting space, but I was just hitting space bars instead. But anyways, but I was just gonna talk about how you guys want communication for next year. But to be honest, this isn't the meeting for that. And so I just don't have anything. I'm fine with not having anything to report because I can bring it up when we start in June or July or whatever
Okay.
the one is.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Susan at this point? Anything remaining? Anything moving forward at this point?
I think the bowling page was updated. I have to send it out for the Wolf today. Tammy, I just sent, or not Tammy, Leslie, I just sent you your gift card. I don't think I owe anyone anything, right?
No, I think everything's been worked on so
Okay.
far for what
I do,
we.
yeah, I do think we're updated. I just wanted to remind you about starting to draft that copy of the
Of the
calendar.
calendar, yeah.
Susan,
But that's not until
can you put in the weekly wolf for the rest of the year, used uniform collections?
Yes. I already added that. Did you not see it last time?
I did see it. I just want to make sure it's like repeated through the
Okay.
end of the year. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. All right, and now Tammy.
All right, back to me. Thanks, guys. So yeah, just really quickly, briefly about the bowling with your professor. That should be all up. We should start seeing that soon. I will post it to social media this probably today after we're done here. We were really
I did see, Tammy, that we got a ticket sale already.
Oh, great.
I
Awesome.
was looking at Spiritwear and it came up as
Oh,
so-
yay. See, everyone's going to be hustling because we are slashing the price and paying half of it. So people can do only $10 tickets instead of the $20 or $35 that we've done in the past because we were doing it as a fundraiser. So in order to kind of tighten it all up and get the money spent back to our families that have contributed this year, we're doing that. So $10 a ticket, 200. We've never actually sold 200 tickets. So hopefully this will give us a whole full house. We'll have the ice cream bus there and so it'll still have an opportunity for a little bit of fundraising or, you know, portion to give some back, but we're happy to do that for our families and hope they have a lot of fun, and it will encourage more consistent turnout again, also for next year. Maybe if we have to go back up in price or whatnot, they'll have had so much fun for the $10 that they'll be willing to pay a little bit more. So yeah, we're excited for that. The calendar draft on here that I posted is what we were talking about earlier. So if you guys want to go in and take a look at that, it's like the just a, you know, you can pop in something if you want it to be approved. If there's something you have questions about, maybe make a note of it, put it on Slack or email me or something and we can talk about it. But this is, I think, just a draft. So we haven't had administration add the middle school stuff yet. So there's only, you know, it should be approved, but we're going to vote on it, I believe, next meeting in June. So our new board will vote on that in June. So just take a look. And if there's anything you have ideas for or want to add or change, we could talk about that and discuss. So if you have time, take a look at that link, and then
Oh, look. Okay.
it's in,
Sorry.
yeah, the link is there. So, and then we just to briefly mention, you know, steps for the next meeting. So we need to come up with maybe a date for that. So maybe I was thinking throwing it out there in Slack, just under the board meeting section, and see if there's anything that works. Maybe after this, we can start thinking of a date that we can all agree on and set that up if that works, and start talking about our transitions after this meeting as well and what the new board will start doing. So I had a couple of ideas on getting more volunteers next year, which I think once we meet and go over that over the summer, we can work on that with the new board. And, you know, maybe having a goal of getting our little snapshot calendar out so that we have it at Meet Your Professor. And again, we can work on all of that during the summer, but just that's kind of the direction after this, and we close up the new year, and after bowling, we'll just kind of start working on our new year. And get stuff ready for the first day and Meet Your Professor and all of that. So if anybody has any suggestions on meeting dates that they like, we can talk about it now, or we can just throw it in Slack. I think that's probably a good time saver so that we can get to the important stuff here, which is the elections, right?
Right.
I have one thing before we go to the next year stuff, if you guys have a minute.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just wanted to let you know, because the 5th grade is doing their bridging ceremony, and I booked Kona Ice for the 5th graders, but I also thought it might be fun for the last day of school I always feel bad when like siblings or like other students are like, oh, Kona Ice, but they can't get any. So Kona Ice agreed to stay for an extra hour at like, if parents would want to pay. If you guys want me to keep Kona Ice for the last day of school, and then they just pay the Kona Ice. It's like $4, $5, or $6 depending on the size. I will arrange that for them to stay for the rest of the school if you'd like.
Oh yeah, for the last day of
And
school.
then
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's on the last day.
Yeah, and then will it be a fundraiser? We get that 20%?
All the money that's raised from the rest of the school goes towards the 5th grade count, and then anything extra, we get 20% back.
Perfect.
Does that sound
Okay.
good?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I love that. That's fun. And we can have a fun little party after school, the last day.
Yeah.
oh, the kids will love it. Thank you for thinking
Yeah,
of the
that's
school. I appreciate that.
So what is
Um,
the timing of that, Jill? Like, what is the timing? Because it is, the last day is a minimum day also, I believe.
Yes. So they're coming for the 5th grade from 11 until 12, and then they're going to stay from 12 until 1,
And-
or until everyone's had some.
And then where
Until
will
the
they
line's
be,
gone.
where will they be located?
They're driving into the courtyard by the 5th grade
Okay.
is the
Okay.
plan.
So then we would need to like let people know so they can send money with their students, right?
yeah, so
I-
that communication just needs to go into the WOOF.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you-
but
yes, is it-
but there has to, like, the caveat with all the 5th grade parents are like, but we have to make sure the 5th graders get it first. And I'm like, well, it's going to be there for an hour before school's even out. And then, sometimes kindergarten gets out a little early. So I thought the timing would be okay on that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's great. And we just have the access to the middle school open, that side gate, and then we take our kids back there or whatever, or they can go.
It won't be on the middle school. It'll be on
No,
elementary for
It's
fifth
on
grade.
elementary school,
Oh, it's on the elementary school side. Oh, yeah, that's great. Even better.
like where Fall Festival is, like where
Oh, okay.
International Day, that little courtyard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So it'll be 11 and 12 for the 5th graders, and then anybody else after that.
Perfect.
I will, can I just say one thing with, so we've had, at the middle school, we've had Kona Ice a couple times, or once at least, and the line was so long. So then they're coming again soon, maybe it's this week or next week. And so Kona Ice is bringing extra employees. So I just want to put that out there to expect like a long line,
Yeah, I know the middle school, like my middle schooler never even got any. That's how long the line was. So yeah, that's a good point to bring up. That's why I'm like, I don't know what our thoughts are on it.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
hoping
I
like
think
with
it's
the
great.
middle school, their extra employees are going to help the line flow better. So we'll see, but hopefully we won't have the same issue at SV.
He said they could do 100 in an hour is like their rate. Like they can do 100 slushy snow cones in an hour. But so maybe
Erin?
I'll ask them if they'll bring more employees too.
Erin,
Okay.
sorry, I have a question about the Kona Ice truck.
Yeah.
When you saw it at the middle school, did they have like the syrups available, like coming from the truck? Because I know when we attended our church VBS, like they had like a special type of truck rather than just having the employees serve out the syrup and the ice.
No, they did what was available to them, and it was the employees serving the ice. And even Karen jumped in and started like working, like jumped in the truck and was handing them out. So I know that that's what they had available. So, but we'll see what happens with the next time they're coming again. Okay.
Okay, Erin, will you keep me posted on that too? See how it goes?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Thanks.
So Tammy, I have a couple of comments on your report. I'm sorry, Jill, are you done? Are you
Yeah, that's
done?
it.
Okay, sorry. So one with the bowling with your professor, this is our first year as just an elementary school, even though we have the extra grade level. I think that we're going to have a really good turnout because we have a lot of new families. And so I think they're going to be excited about the event. But I know that in the past, we've always held an alum, lanes down towards, one end. So if we want to do that again, I think it would be great to communicate with the middle school now, because now it's 6th, 7th, and 8th that are the alums. So if they wanted to come and join us, we could, provide them the link so they could secure a ticket.
Well, do you think we should see how our ticket sales are going? Because we have so many new families at only $10.
Yeah, I'm open for discussion. I just know that was one thing that we had always done.
Okay.
Anybody else have any insight? That's great.
That might also be helpful if there's siblings, like in my case,
To bowl.
but at the same time, I mean, my sixth grader could just stay home. It's not a big deal. So one thing along those lines I was thinking about that we ran into in the past is we need to make sure on the flyer it says this is not a drop-off event.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay. There, it will just be mostly a digital flyer, so we can just, I can check that out and see if we can add that. I don't
So
think
do you
we're,
want to just wait to see how sales go once it goes out in the woof, and then like in a week or so, week and a half, take a look at how the sales are going?
yeah, because I think we sold like 170 something tickets last time and we had a lot of walk-ins too, so
Okay.
it's cheap, but I mean, that's pretty cheap, like we're paying for half, so.
Yeah, that's
Might
great.
be good, and all the new, you don't want to turn away like our new family. I mean, I know I get both sides, so I don't know. Open for discussion. I'm good either way, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. Let's just give it a see how it goes, and then maybe we can send over a short email to middle school and let them know that alums are welcome. Towards
Okay.
anybody have any other comments on that?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, as I recall, last year, a lot of parents did very last minute purchases, and that created some complications. So I feel like we need to maybe consider making our deadline maybe the day before versus that afternoon. I think we did the cutoff like that morning or like an hour before, and it got
Oh,
very
I see. Just go ahead and completely cut off sales at Membership Toolkit a day before, and then only accept walk-ins.
Yeah, because I think it made it very complicated at check-in time, and we weren't able to check people in as quickly, and we didn't have that information. I just remember there being some complication with that, so maybe just make the cutoff like the night before. Otherwise, and I think they got a cheaper price, right? They got a cheaper price if they did that versus walk-in, something
Yeah.
along those lines. And so if we just want to make the cutoff like the night before, and then after that, they have to just pay the walk-in price day of.
Okay. I like that.
That's great. Thanks for remembering that, Michelle. I think I was sitting there with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some bad parents for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And the other comment on the calendar that I want everybody to think about before coming to the meeting in June, a couple things will change because of just the timing with the admin's calendar, with some of their fundraisers that they have to do because it's in the charter. The readathon will be in April, and it will be a month long, which we kind of extend out anyways, but admin wanted to have that available for the month. And then the book fair will move to May, like we've done in the past, to just get and put like a summer spin on it, get your books for summer, simply because there's too much going on in April. If you guys were around for the book fair, they completely packed it up for us and it was kind of a nightmare. So we're just going to avoid all of that because there's not a lot going on in May except for testing, which is huge. But they don't have makeups, in there all the time. So just keep that in mind for when we're coming in June to vote. And then the other thing I want you guys to think about is Spirit Nights. We didn't do so well this year in totality with the money and getting people to the restaurants. And I don't know why. Maybe this is just not what our new families like to do, or maybe they're not seeing all the advertising. But I would recommend maybe just doing Spirit Nights once a trimester to see if we can do bigger ones, like the Chuck E. Cheese, and you'll find bigger venues to be able to do that give us a bigger percentage back, something that's more interactive. So I'm just putting that out there right now. It's on the calendar for every month, but I just want you guys to really think about okay, bye, Susan. That. And it doesn't have to be, it's just something that has been brought up over and over, something that we always stress about. And we don't get a big return on it. And a lot of the restaurants are not giving back as much as they used to because of inflation. So
I think inflation might be why we're not getting as much as we've seen in the past as well.
yeah. Or
That's
It
rethink
could have
it,
been our
you know.
flyers too. I think our flyers brought in more interest, but
I talked a little bit to the SOC Spirit Nights, and they just had some really fun ones. I mean, our Pumpkin City always does pretty good. And then they had Chuck E. Cheese, Defy, and Barnes and Nobles, these cool events. So I'll get more information from them because Tina over there at South County has so very good success with these ones. So I think if we do more activities in between like a restaurant, I think that will be good. And, you know, sometimes the restaurants are kind of far or there's two and they go to the wrong spot. So we can look at the timing of where we're at, but yes, we'll start thinking of those for sure.
I think that's a good idea. And since at this point we don't have a VP of community, maybe it is finding more of those interactive, you know, like I think there's rock climbing that does Spirit Nights like that, and you know, we'll give things percentage back in Lake Forest. So maybe that's the way that we go in order to create like these grade level Spirit Night meetup, whatever you want to call it. I like that.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Are you done, Tammy?
Yeah, I'm all done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for all of that. I'm looking forward to your leadership next year. All right. I'm going to defer to Kristen, the parliamentarian, as we gear up to conduct our elections.
Hi, everybody. Did you want to refer to that first line of the?
Yes. So, do I open the slate first though, Kristen? Do you want me to do that?
Tammy will be reading that. And so,
Oh, okay.
You can, if you'd like. Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just didn't know where to start. It's very formal. All right. So we
Formal
will
and
now
informal.
conduct our elections. With the parliamentarian, please read the sections of the bylaws pertaining to the elections.
I will indeed. Section 4.2 refers to election of eligibility. Any interested OPA SVHS members are eligible to run for an elected office of the OPA SVHS on a yearly basis. Application for election for the executive board of the Oxford Preparatory Academy Saddleback Valley Honor Society shall commence towards the end of every academic school year as determined by the parliamentarian. 4.4 is the introduction. All candidates will be given the opportunity to be introduced. 4.11, the nominating committee will begin deliberation in the springs. Recommendations for each position will be elicited from the executive board, all operating committees, and the general membership. Nominees can indicate their interest through a virtual nomination process. The nominating committee will put together a final slate for election by the general membership. 4.12 refers to elections will be by the general membership in person or virtually. If a quorum of the general membership is not present, a quorum of the OPA SVHS executive board will vote on the proposed slate. 4.13, the succession. The president will serve as president-elect or on the executive board before becoming president. Should a president-elect be unable to fulfill their role to OPA SVHS elections, the nominating committee will put forward a candidate for president consistent with the above criteria or other demonstrated relevant profession or volunteer leadership experience. And now we'll have the nominating committee chairperson, Tammy, read the slate of nominees, please.
Okay, so for our slate for the 24-25 board, we have president nominee is Tammy Nozeri. President-elect will remain open as of right now. Recording secretary is Teresa Alderson. Vice President of Community Programs is remaining open for now. Vice President of Communications is Susan Rayar. Vice President of Finance Operations, Jen Miller. Vice President of Spirit, Aaron Rasban. Vice President of Fundraising will remain open for now. Vice President of Volunteers, Leslie Sheriff, and Vice President of Student Development is Jill Porter. And Parliamentarian is Kristen Fox. Is there more?
No.
Okay, perfect.
And Teresa's portion comes next.
Okay, so thank you. As stated, as I read your name, if you could please raise your hand or say here. As I reread this slate. Oh, Kristen, do I say this according to the bylaws?
That'll be after.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
sorry. Okay, all right. President, Tammy Noirzi.
Here.
President-elect is open. Recording Secretary Teresa Alderson here. Vice President of Community Programs, open. Vice President of Communications, Susan Ryar. She is not here. Vice President of Finance Operations, Jen Miller.
Here.
He is Vice President of Spirit, Erin Rasban. I don't know where she
Here.
is. Okay, there you are. Vice President of Volunteers, Leslie Sheriff.
Here.
Thank you. Vice President of Student Development, Jill Porter.
Here.
Thank you. And Parliamentarian Kristen Fox.
Here.
Great. So according to the bylaws, nominations from the floor are now in order. For President, Tammy Noirzi is nominated. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, the nominations for president are closed. Tammy Noirzi has been nominated. Oh, nobody has been nominated for president-elect. Are there any nominations from the floor? Oh, come on, somebody.
Leslie has my nomination, but I know she won't do it.
I would do it if I could just be your assistant, not to be president next year.
That's what the vice president is.
I don't want to do it then next year though.
We can do it
I'll still be
together.
your assistant.
All right, seeing none, the nominations for president-elect are closed. All right. So Vice President of Community Programs. Oh, I skipped myself, sorry. Recording Secretary, Teresa Alderson. Okay. Are there any nominations from the floor for Recording Secretary? Okay. Seeing none, the nominations for Recording Secretary are closed. Okay. The Vice President of Community Programs is open, so I'll move to the next. Vice President of Communications, Susan has been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor for Vice President of Communications? Seeing none, the nominations for VP of Communications are closed. Okay. Vice President of Finance Operations, Jen Miller, she's been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, the nominations for VP of Finance are closed. Okay, Erin Rasban has been nominated for VP of Spirit. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, the nominations for a VP of Spirit are closed. Vice President of Fundraising is open, so I'll move on to the next. Vice President of Volunteers, Leslie Sheriff, has been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, the nominations for VP of Volunteers are closed. VP of Student Development is Jill Porter. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, the nominations for VP of Student Development is closed. And last but not least, Parliamentarian, Kristen Fox has been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, the nominations for parliamentarian are closed. I have to do this one more time. So here's our slate. President, Tammy Noirzi. President-elect, open. Recording Secretary, Teresa Alderson. Vice President of Community Programs, open. Vice President of Communications, Susan Ryer. Vice President of Finance Operations, Jen Miller. Vice President of Spirit, Aaron Rasband. Vice President of Fundraising, open. Vice President of Volunteers, Leslie Sheriff. Vice President of Student Development, Jill Porter, and Parliamentarian Kristen Fox. Now do I call for a motion, Kristen?
Yes,
Okay,
to adopt this.
all right. All right, not
As-
to adopt this. I need a motion to finalize, right? Is
Yes.
that my motion? Okay. I need a motion to finalize the slate for the 2024-2025 Executive Board election.
I will call for a motion to finalize the slate of the executive board for the 24-25 election.
I need a second.
I will second.
All those in favor say aye, or visual voting.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The executive board has been selected for the 2024-2025 school year.
Woo!
Congratulations, everyone.
Mm.
And if you have
Now that we
any
know-
people that potentially are interested, we do need to still fill those roles and can do so throughout the year by the executive board appointment per the bylaws. So keep those in mind.
Excellent.
And then-
Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, congrats, everyone. That's exciting. Now we can start working on the new year.
I know. Anything else, Kristen?
No, it sounded like, as far as, did you want me to go onto the transition procedure and just kind of touch on that if you wanted to bring that up?
Yeah, sure.
It sounds as though we are going to have a board meeting in June. And of course, we can have more additional discussion, both from old board to new board and collectively regarding the transition process. But the main things to touch on this checklist refers to the email accounts transition, the Slack accounts, membership toolkit access, and your binders. And we'll have to arrange for a transfer of that stuff. So more information to follow that. Did you want me to go line by line, or do you think we can just address it?
No, the most important thing at this point is for you to connect with whoever is transitioning you. I mean, we don't have a ton of new people, but just this month is critical just to be able to get together and get that access that you'll need. And then I know you guys can just figure out another, schedule to be communicating over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then, of course, we're all going off for our summer vacations and things like that, but we're not going anywhere where we're a pretty young board. There's only a couple of us that there's no one leaving. So leaving the elementary school. So we're all around, but just to be very sensitive about trying to get the information necessary to the person that needs it, and then to be available to answer any questions via text or Slack. We'll get you set up in the new Slack. So just wanted to reiterate that communication is key, even though, we all have busy lives, but just to be very respectful of getting back to one another in order to make the transition as smooth as possible. So that's it. Okay. And then, is that good, Kristen?
Yes, I think
Or-
that's sufficient for this timing. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. I
Okay.
know it's a little dry, but it's a necessary formality.
That was the most formal we've ever had elections, and that's the first
Yeah.
time I've ever really had to read through something like that, but I appreciate that because we do need that for the minutes. So thank you very much.
It can
Okay.
be longer, just to warn you. It can be a lot longer and much more dry. So that was sufficient for our needs and consistent with our bylaws. And so thank you for all your time.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks for writing all that out.
Okay, so Jen, you're up because, yeah, you're up. So do you want me to open up the reports that you sent?
I don't think it's really necessary because I can just cover the numbers that we need to talk about.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
go for it.
so for the income, we targeted to raise 83,000 for the school year, and so far we've reached that actually, and we've raised $86,305.19. So yay. For our expenses, we budgeted $108,892.47, and so far we've used 78% of the budget at $84,880.95. The books have been reconciled through April, and that's pretty much it for the finance portion. And I just have to talk about the transition period because I am going on vacation at the end of June to mid-July. So do you want me to discuss that with Jen separately, or do you want me to cover that in the meeting? Oh, I can't hear you. Oh.
You can just discuss it with Jen separately, but just so you guys, just to reiterate, Jen is going on vacation, and then the other Jen will be transitioning. So just to be sensitive to that, I think it takes a while with that position, but I've already given the direction that all reimbursements need to be in by the end of May. And then the only things that finance should be focusing on is reconciliation and paying out the remaining funds. And that's all really, Jen. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to the new Jen, it's so confusing, is that I'm going to be out of the country from June 24th to July 13th. And I think sales tax is due on July 15th. But yeah, we'll cover all of that when we get together, and I'll go over how to do reconciliations. But from what I hear, you are familiar with Membership Toolkit and you were part of the PTA in the past. So I'm excited for that. And I think it will be a quick and easy transition. And that's it for me.
Jen, I wanted to tell you, Jen O, that I called Ralph's because we have this program where you can connect your phone number and they should give back, and it's been in our budget for years. And Jen, we do the program, but it's not an honor society program. So just looking into next year, Jen Miller, that line item can go away because it's all handled by the school. Make sense? They're on mute, but okay. Okay. Is anything else, Jen?
Sorry, Teresa, I was having a hard time finding the unmute button. So yeah, that sounds good. I'll just get together with Jen O and we can talk about what needs to be done to make the transition.
Excellent. Great.
Teresa,
and I think
do
again,
you have an auditor selected, or has there been a discussion on that?
There was a discussion. So I know I gave the information to Jennifer O with auditor, and I think she was getting her the information to do that so that we can have that done as soon as possible. I don't know if I don't know what the talk was for the timeline. I know we said ASAP, but I'll follow up on that with Jen O also.
just,
Yeah,
yeah,
I reached out. Oh, sorry, Tammy. I reached out to Drew.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back, so I'll actually loop Jen Miller in on this since the audit's going to be performed at the end of the fiscal year. That way,
I'll text you all in a group really quick right
yeah,
now.
that way she could have all of the documents. Or I mean, I'll be passing on all the binders to Jen Miller, so I think she would be the best person to reach out to Drew after.
They should be submitted before June 30th for the end of the, or as soon as possible to close out the books for this fiscal year.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, to close out the books for the fiscal year, because the last day is June 30th, it will actually be done in July. Does it say in the bylaws that the audit has to be completed on June 30th?
no.
Okay,
No.
great.
So just a little background on the auditor real quick. The auditor actually was a board member, but we had voted earlier this year to take them off of the board and then it just for them to be appointed by the board. And best practice obviously is to have one done mid-year and one done at the end of the year for sure. We did not get that mid-year because we did a transition with the VP of Finance. So I know once the books are closed, June 30th, July, you guys will be working hard and that'll give us a better view of our numbers. But it's kind of a crunch time right there, right? Because we have to also approve a budget for the year. So it's a little bit chaotic, but I feel confident we'll get it done. Any questions on that?
Was the budget done for the last period ending 12/30, or sorry, not the budget. Was the audit completed for the period ending 12/31?
No.
Okay. So yeah, that one's probably the one that's more urgent, right? I mean, that one probably does need to be done by June. Yeah, no? For the period.
I don't
Or
know
is that-
I don't really know what that means because it's always been handled through finance and that's really not my wheelhouse. So I should know, but
Okay, is that like in the bylaw?
Per the bylaws, yes, the current finance operations is to ensure the audit is completed at the end of December and then at the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. So that is, that's part of, because it is their books, right? So they need to provide that information to the auditor. So that needs to be kind of in place and occur as soon as possible.
Because that's how we did it at Rancho Cañada. I've not been the treasurer. I have been the auditor a few times.
Sure.
And so the way we did it at Rancho Cañada was we did it for those 2 periods, like you said, Teresa. So I would do it at the end of the year. Usually like by the December meeting, I would usually try to have the audit done for the year ending June 30th. Well, I think it should have been done like in November, but our treasurer never gave me the books in time. So I usually did it like November, and then we did it again like in July for the year end. So
that
there were
makes
usually
sense.
2.
And so that timing was, we had one VP of finance leave, the other one was coming on and all they were doing was transitioning. So we just missed that one.
Okay. So we'll probably just have one audit then for the whole year, ending June 30th. After everything gets closed out, right?
Right.
So
That's what I was
Okay.
thinking, unless the bylaws say different. I don't know how we would.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, I think at this point, since it wasn't done, since the middle half wasn't done, I think we just need to get the books closed June 30th and then have somebody in line to get the audit done quickly. And I don't know how long it takes to close the books and all that. I do know that in the past, as the auditor, it took many months for me to get the books from the treasurer. So I don't know what was taking so long, but so I don't know if that's faster here.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have the problem here because we have access, all of it's pretty pretty easy, right, Jen? I mean, you have access to everything and that access can be transferred pretty easily.
Yeah, my assumption is the reason why it took her a long time to get you the books is it was probably not organized. I have
Yeah.
everything in order, but maybe when I pass on the books to you, you can let me know, like, or you could reorganize it. But how I did it was I just put everything monthly, and then you could see all the expenses, and the deposits. So it's fairly organized, and they're all reconciled until April. I just got to put May's together, and then you can do June's and July. But my assumption is that that's the reason why it took so long, because it is a lot of paperwork. So maybe the person that you
Yeah.
worked with in the past just was not organized.
I think that's what it was. I think there were always like things that had to be wrapped up to close each month, and I don't think she was closing it month to month. Well, I don't know. Maybe she wasn't closing it, but I think that if you're doing it every month, it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, I'll
Excellent.
talk with Jeno and we can coordinate on the side.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. I know we're in good hands. Okay, next, community programs, sitting, waiting so patiently.
Hello. So this is the first meeting since the meetup that I had in April. So I just wanted to give a quick update on the first Saturday one we held. Not a great turnout, especially for as many parents had reached out to me and said, weekend would be better than Friday. We had maybe a dozen families show up, maybe a dozen, as to where when we do Fridays, it's 30 to 50 kids easy. So I definitely would recommend sticking to Fridays. If you guys wanted to do a Saturday again, I wanted to do one November, December, but it just didn't work out between the family fun night and our jogathon and everything we had going on for that. I wasn't able to squeeze it in. So if you guys wanted to try another Saturday, next year I would suggest that, but I would also just suggest sticking to Fridays. It's just such a great turnout for the families. You pick up your kid, you take them to the park, have lunch. It makes sense.
Perfect.
So that was
Thank
pretty
you
much
for
it.
that.
That's all I had.
Thank you for trying that. I mean, I know that you had mentioned that a couple of times, sometimes people are working and can't get there. And so we put it out there. That's all we can do.
Yeah. At least we tried. People who asked, we tried, and at least we can tell them now. If we don't, this is why. So
yeah, that's great. And thank you so much for doing the Snack Shack this year. It was phenomenal and it was so successful. And I hope that we can fill that position so we have somebody that can step into that role and do an amazing job just like you did. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know a lot of kids have asked this month already and I just wasn't able to do it, but they really do love it. They really do.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well,
Thank
thank
you
you so much. I appreciate that. Fundraising, we don't have a report. And Leslie, for volunteers.
Yeah, I wonder if some of these should be saved for June. It's kind of just feedback and talk about future stuff. I don't know if that's something just in the essence of time, if we want to do that. I did just want to make a comment about your spirit night idea, and I really like that. I'm working on a sheet for you with kind of who never to use again, successes that we've had. I think not having the physical flyers, I know there was a lot of talk about that this year, but I really do think that's been a big impact on, people not coming out as much. And we've always tried to work with Bridges about having professors there, and that just seems to never work out. So anyways, I like that idea. And then the one thing I wanted to mention about staff appreciation, I wanted to put a note in the WOOF, and I didn't get out there this week, but we had such a great support from all the university parents. Being on campus, I had a lot of professors say, never had it like this before, and they really enjoyed seeing the faces, and that all worked out really well. I did get some feedback that the timing wasn't great, being so close to the end of the year. It kind of poo-poos people that want to be doing a big end of year gift for the professors. And I'm wondering if we did it at the end of March, a week before spring break or something, if we can kind of balance that in the future. If we're doing the book fair in May next year, maybe it won't be so great to have staff appreciation right then, because we're, you know, spending a lot of money for both of those events. But so I was just thinking about adding that to the calendar that we could discuss in June. And then just some future ideas for volunteer incentives and things we can also talk about in June, I think.
Okay, well, let me send a note over to Bridges and Garrett, Bridges and Wright, to say, hey, here's some feedback that we've gotten about staff appreciation. And I think they'll see it. I think March was always good because it is such a long month, but not doing it for a month. And I know this year they just wanted to do
Right.
it on the national week, but maybe that just doesn't work for us. And I can see that feedback with parents like, oh, now I'm going to have to turn around and pour out more money for an end of the year gift. And it's more like an obligation than it is, you know, really exciting and coming from your heart. So I think that's great feedback. But Leslie, thank you so much for taking this position and making it amazing.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
it has been such a great year. I love the structure. I love all the communications. I just couldn't be more proud of what you've done. And I can't wait to see how much it's going to grow next year.
Thank you so much for saying that. I kind of was underwhelmed with kind of some of the responses as people not claiming their reward incentives. I didn't chase people this year because I figured if you're not reading it in the WOOF, you're not reading it in our Honor Society letter, then, you know. So maybe we restructure a few things. Michelle had a really great idea. I don't know if you're still on here, Michelle, but having incentives per event. So, you know, doing a raffle per family fun night, or doing a raffle for Blackwell's helpers, or, you know, kind of structuring it a little differently. So there's lots of ideas, and I'd love to have any feedback, of course, from our board, and we can, you know, talk about that moving forward.
That's great. Well, I love that it was just out there, right? That we did post it, that people know that we're doing it. It's something that, you know, it's the first time we've done it. So, you know, we just keep at it. And like you said, just think of different ways to do stuff. But it's just, I love the structure and I love everything that you've done with it. And it's beyond our expectations. It's not anything that this board has ever seen before. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That's so kind to say. The people that claimed their rewards were very excited. So there were some happy participants.
That's good. That's good. Great. Anything else on volunteers? Any questions for Leslie? Okay, excellent. All right, and student development, did you have a report? I don't see anything there.
I don't have a report. I do have an update though. I reached out to Bridges again today about this rescheduling of Blackwell's. And I was told that it will now be split between May 28th and May 30. So it looks like it's going to be kind of an all-day event on the 28th and then just in the morning on the 30th. Leslie, I will forward the email with the schedule to you because I did tell him, I'm like, if we can get that information at least a week in advance, it really helps us get set up for making sure the shifts are covered and not scrambling last minute. So I'll send that to you so that you can work on that. And then that wraps up Blackwell's for the year.
Michelle, I have a question. Did the one, I guess the teachers were super excited about their our leftover Blackwells to them, and then
oh yes, forgot to mention that. Yes.
okay, and two, do you have any more inventory, and are you just going to drop that off at Jill's porch?
So I will. I do have inventory. I didn't utilize everything. I did just kind of use a lot of the items that were not moving, smaller, things that had just kind of been hanging around. And a lot of those items were either things that came in large bulk or things that were donated that just weren't appealing to the kids to want to spend scholarship money for. But I think sometimes it's different when you're spending scholarships for it versus it's in the teacher prize bin, right? And it's not costing you your hard-earned reward. So, so yeah, I will still have some inventory. I was able to make out like a bandit because the 99 stores closed or in the process of closing. So I hit up several of them and was able to get some really good discounts on some really big item things. So I am going to be adding a 75 and 100 scholarship for this last Blackwell's. So we're going to go out with like a big bang. And I know there's lots of kids who have hundreds to spend. So, so hopefully that'll be great. And they'll probably be excited about a lot of the items that we would normally not be able to have in our budget. But I hit up one and they were down to 70% off items that were like $5 and plus. So,
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited for them to be able to really spend some good money and get some good prizes this time around. But yes, I still anticipate I'll have surplus. I know I do have some items that are boxed up that I'm ready to hand over to Jill, just kind of waiting to wrap up this last Blackwell so that I can give it to her all in one lump sum and she can go with it.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. Yeah, that's great. I think Blackwell's has been amazing this year. I appreciate all the hard work that you've done. It's so organized. We know exactly what to do when we get there. Even with the transition to going online, it's just been amazing for the kids and how excited they get. I just love it. And I thank you for being so organized and all your hard work traipsing around the city to get the best deals on those gifts that make the kids so happy. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's been great. Okay, if no questions for Michelle. All right. Last but not least, Erin with Spirit.
Okay.
Your turn.
Hi guys. So we currently have a 20% off sale online from May 13th through the 26th. And then I will also be doing a 20% off sale at Bowl with Your Professor. But if you want Spirit Wear like to be delivered this year, get your order in now. Because if I don't have the size, I'll have to order it and won't be able to get it to you until next year. So I don't want those sitting around for a while. We're collecting used uniforms, so be sure and get those in. And so I'm hoping to do a big collection, and then before school starts, organize them a little bit at the school for our used uniform sales at Meet Your Professor. And then I'm going to close the online store June 6th, and hopefully I will be able to reopen it a couple weeks before school starts. And I'm hoping to put an announcement out about that. And I'm already working on new designs for next year with our new vendor. So if anybody has input, requests, let me know. That's it. Any questions? Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. So let me pull that number up. I know we did, so our budget for the year was to sell 10,000 and we only sold 6,700. I think a lot of that was the slow start to the year though. So I thought I'd just report on that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's true too. We had to pivot at the beginning of the year, but I appreciate you pivoting and you pivoted well. And like I said when we came on, you've done such a great job with a mystery position, like, and even Tammy would say, like that position just was so chaotic for so long, and you've just taken it and created a wonderful position and have been able to give so much to our families. And even the used uniforms right at the beginning of the year, I mean, that was just such a blessing, that not that the school got all messed up with their orders, but that we had that available for our families and that we could really help them out. So that's exactly where we needed to be. And and you came through, and it's just been a really great year with Spirit. So I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I will say with the used uniforms, it is awfully satisfying to have, well, usually at the beginning of the year, teachers will contact me, and or they did this year at least, and they had in the past. There's a student in my class not showing up in uniform. I don't know if the family can afford them, and then just to be able to put a package together for that family or whatever the size is. And so that's kind of, I want to say it's a little rewarding to be able to do that. So it's good that we have that. And then along the lines of uniforms, as a side note, so the new vendor that we recently, Betsy, I forget her company name. She does the spirit wear for the middle school, and she,
Oops, you froze. Erin, you're frozen. Right, Leslie, you're still here. Yeah, okay. She's just frozen. I hope she comes back. Can you hear her or no? Okay. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Okay. Oh, she left us. Okay. Until she comes back on. I know that she's also selling at the TK Kinder event that's coming up next week.
There
There
she
you
is.
are.
I don't know what happened. Everything was
okay.
fine, and then I was talking.
So you were talking about Betsy in the middle school, and then
So yeah, so she's been printing the blue polos for middle school students, and they can get them in like 2 days from her rather than, school bells waiting a couple months. So if we want to do that, we can do that as well. So it's an option.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, thank you so much. I didn't see the TK Kinder, but I had just made that quick announcement. The TK Kinder orientation will also be selling
Yes,
there.
I will be there for that too.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great. Okay, and then I don't have anything else. I think it's great. Like I said, I think that we've done really good. I think we're exactly where we need to be with Spirit Wear, and we have a good indication of what that budget should be and how much we'll take in next year. So I think it's all good. So any questions for Erin? Thank you guys. I know we're almost done. Okay, no questions. Okay.
Just a
Then
comment
we
for
did talk
Erin.
about, oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's not important. I was just going to say, Erin, on one of our gardening days, we can organize all the used uniforms because there's tons and tons in the bin. So we can do that together soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
I love that. Oh, and speaking of the garden, what a great job this year. Like our gardening club and just maintaining it. And just, I feel like we're in a groove with the garden. So we had a lot of great things and donations come through this year. And
yeah,
that's great.
We are gonna, since the summer school is gonna be held on campus, I'm gonna find out how to do those Google forms that you guys will use. And I'm gonna put one together to do interest for gardening families over the summer. I think we'll have lots of traffic on the campus with picking up summer school. And hopefully we can have people in there daily to water. It gets so toasty in there. Our sprinklers aren't great. So hopefully we'll have a lot of people working over the summer in there and taking home goodies.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. So the last thing is just the committee reports. We talked about Spirit Nights, just to have that on your radar for the next time we come together in June. And the last thing is the storage clean out. As Amanda said on Slack, I did not put back the book fair in the way that it should have been put back. But I knew that we needed to clean out that side. So if we just need to pick a day and we'll just throw it out on Slack, if I could get some help for that side, because as soon as that is organized, my husband is more than happy to come in and put some more shelves so we can have more room for, inventory or whatever you guys want to put in there from your different positions, because I know student development and Spiritware, you guys kind of hold on to that, but just to have a space would be great in our storage, and most of that stuff in there needs to be pruned. So I'm hoping that you guys will help make that happen in the next few weeks. Any other announcements? Tammy, any other announcements from you?
I don't have any more announcements. I just thank you everybody for a great year, and we're excited to wrap it up.
Do we have a date
Awesome.
for our next meeting?
No, we just mentioned maybe putting a couple options on Slack so we can kind of discuss on what works for most of us. That work?
I would say no for the first week, because that's our last week of school. So just where we can take a breath, and maybe our kids are in camps the following week.
And in the board meetings one, I put a couple of dates on there for maybe the second week or the third week of summer. So I think it got pushed back a little bit with some other questions, but yeah, so I can repost it.
Perfect. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. Okay, well, congratulations to everyone. I'm excited about all of our new positions or current positions that we'll be keeping and working with you guys next year, but we will have more words in June with each other. But in the essence of time, I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 1:43. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.